Most people fail, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they think too small. The magic of thinking big reveals a life-changing truth. Your success begins in your mind. When you dare to think bigger, you open doors you never even knew existed. In The Magic of Thinking Big, David J. Schwartz shows that the size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. It's not about luck, intelligence, or background. It's about how you think. This book is a practical guide to transforming your mindset, breaking self-imposed limits, and developing the confidence to aim higher in life. Schwartz explains that successful people aren't necessarily smarter or more capable. They simply think differently. They expect success, they visualize it, and they act on it. Through simple but powerful principles, this book teaches how to replace fear with faith, excuses with action, and self-doubt with belief. Whether your goal is to achieve career success, build better relationships, or live a more meaningful life, the magic of thinking big will help you change your thinking and your future. So sit back, stay focused, and let's uncover the timeless lessons from this classic that has helped millions believe in themselves and achieve the extraordinary. Chapter 1. Stop thinking small. You've been taught to think small, to stay safe, to be realistic, but that's the exact reason you feel stuck. Small thinking is the silent killer of potential. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It tells you, don't aim too high, don't make a fool of yourself, don't expect too much. And little by little, it builds the walls of your own mental prison. Comfort disguises itself as peace, but comfort isn't peace. Comfort is control. It's the cage that keeps you from testing your strength. Listen carefully. You are not limited by reality. You are limited by your imagination of it. That's the truth most people never face. Reality bends to those who think big enough to challenge it. The illusion of enough. You've heard people say it. I just want to make enough to get by. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to survive. But here's the problem. When you aim to get by, you'll always live beneath what you're capable of. That's the trap of small thinking. You tell yourself you're being humble. You tell yourself you're being realistic. But what you're really doing is surrendering to fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of responsibility. Big goals expose your excuses. That's why people avoid them. It's easier to aim for average than to face the discomfort of greatness. It's easier to say I can't than to admit I'm afraid to try. Remember this, you are not limited by reality, only by your imagination of it. The salesman who thought bigger. There's a story Schwartz shared, a salesman who made just enough every year to stay comfortable. He wasn't bad. He wasn't lazy. He was just small-minded. Then one year, he decided to think bigger. He raised his goal 10 times higher, from $100,000 to $1 million. Did he hit it immediately? No, but he didn't need to, because the moment he thought bigger, he became bigger. He started dressing sharper, speaking with confidence, seeking bigger clients, believing in bigger numbers, and his results followed his mindset. That's the secret. Your world expands or contracts according to the size of your thinking. The salesman didn't change his talent. He changed his target. You are not limited by reality, only by your imagination of it. The small thinker's mindset. Small thinkers play defense. They don't dream, they react. They don't build, they wait. They wait for opportunity. They wait for permission. They wait for the right time. But the right time doesn't come. It's made. Big thinkers don't wait for it. They create it. Small thinkers say, I'll try. Big thinkers say, I'll find a way. Small thinkers measure their goals by their current abilities. Big thinkers measure their abilities by their goals. That's the difference. One adapts their ambition to their limits. The other adapts their limits to their ambition. The lie of being practical. Be practical. Be realistic. Stay in your lane. You've heard this all your life. And it sounds responsible, even wise, but practicality is often just fear disguised as logic. You're told not to reach too far because you might fail. But here's the truth. You fail by default when you refuse to reach. Every so-called practical thinker in history has been forgotten. Every unrealistic thinker has changed the world. People once said electricity was impossible. Flight was impossible. Computers were impossible. Yet here you are, listening to this, powered by all three. It's not about being reckless. It's about being relentless. You are not limited by reality, only by your imagination of it. How to think bigger. So how do you do it? How do you escape small thinking? Start by raising your standards. Double them. Then double them again. When you set goals, ask yourself, is this goal stretching me or keeping me safe? If your goal doesn't scare you a little, it's not big enough. Second, stop surrounding yourself with small thinkers. The people around you set your mental ceiling. You absorb their limitations without realizing it. If they roll their eyes when you talk about big plans, you're in the wrong room. You don't need approval. You need alignment. You don't need their permission. You need your decision. Third, stop asking, "Can I?" and start asking, "How can I?" One closes the door. The other opens it. That shift in language rewires your brain for expansion. It forces your mind to find a way, not find an excuse. The daily practice of big thinking. Big thinking is a daily discipline. It's not a burst of motivation. It's a mental habit. Every morning, ask yourself, how big will I think today? What's the highest standard I can hold myself to? Write your goals where you can see them. Speak them out loud. Feed your subconscious the message, I am meant for more. Because your mind follows the orders you give it. If you tell it to stay small, it will obey. If you tell it to grow, it will expand. That's the key. Your mind is a servant, not a master. Train it to think in abundance, not scarcity. Every great life begins with a big thought, and every wasted life begins with a small one. You are not limited by reality, only by your imagination of it. The transformation. When you start thinking big, people will notice. They'll call you arrogant. They'll call you delusional. They'll tell you to be realistic. Ignore them. They're not attacking you. They're defending their comfort. Your big thinking exposes their small effort. Your progress forces them to face their own stagnation. That's why they'll try to pull you back. Don't let them. You have a choice, and that choice is the beginning of transformation. You can shrink your dreams to match their comfort, or you can expand your courage to match your destiny. That's the fork in the road. That's the moment most people waste. Not you, not anymore. Small thinking keeps you where you are. Big thinking takes you where you're meant to be. Stop asking for permission to live at full scale. Stop letting fear decide your future. Remember, you are not limited by reality, only by your imagination of it. That's the foundation. That's where success begins. Chapter 2. Believe you can and you will. Everything begins in belief. Every goal, every breakthrough, every victory. Before you can achieve anything in the real world, you must first believe it in your mind. Belief is the foundation of all achievement. Doubt, on the other hand, is the silent killer of dreams. Most people fail long before they ever start, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack belief. They convince themselves they can't. They talk themselves out of progress. They defeat themselves before the world even has a chance to. That's the truth most people never face. You don't lose to competition. You lose to your own disbelief. And until you fix that, nothing changes. The invisible power of belief. Belief isn't magic. It's not some mystical concept. Belief is a multiplier. When you believe you can succeed, you act differently. You speak differently. You move differently. You take initiative. You show up prepared. You persist longer. That's not luck. That's belief in motion. The opposite is also true. When you doubt yourself, your actions shrink. You hesitate. You second guess. You play small. You don't make the call. You don't take the shot. You don't start the business. You don't speak up. And then you say, see, it didn't work. But it didn't fail because it couldn't work. It failed because you didn't believe it could. You have a choice. You can live as a victim of disbelief or as the architect of conviction. That's the key. Because belief doesn't follow evidence. Evidence follows belief. The self-fulfilling prophecy. There's a reason people who expect success tend to find it. It's not coincidence. It's cause and effect. You attract opportunities because you're prepared for them. You spot possibilities because you're looking for them. You keep going because you expect it to work. Think of an athlete before the game. The ones who win don't hope to win. They know they're going to win. Their body language shows it. Their tone shows it. Their preparation shows it. That belief fuels performance. The same rule applies to your life. If you expect defeat, you subconsciously create the conditions for it. You sabotage your own progress. If you expect victory, you act like someone who deserves it. You move with certainty. You communicate with conviction. And success responds to that energy. So remember this mantra. Think victory, not defeat. Expect success, not failure. Say it again. Say it until it becomes part of your identity. The mind as a mirror. Your mind is a mirror. It reflects what you feed it. If you feed it doubt, it shows you reasons to quit. If you feed it belief, it shows you reasons to keep going. Every day, your thoughts write the story of your future. The problem is, most people keep repeating the wrong story. They replay failure. They rehearse defeat. They visualize rejection. Then they wonder why they never win. You can't think failure all day and expect success to show up. You can't talk about lack and expect abundance to find you. You get what you focus on. That's the law. You can rewrite your story, but only if you change the author in your mind. You are that author. You decide the script. You decide the tone. You decide the ending. Think victory, not defeat. Expect success, not failure. The behavior of believers. Belief is not passive. It's not something you say. It's something you do. If you believe in your future, your habits will prove it. If you believe in your value, your standards will show it. Belief looks like preparation. Belief looks like discipline. Belief looks like consistency when no one's watching. Anyone can claim they believe. Few act like it. Stop saying, I'll try. Start saying, I will. Stop saying, I hope. Start saying, I know. You don't need their permission to believe in yourself. You just need to decide that your vision deserves commitment. It's not about arrogance. It's about ownership. It's not about ego. It's about evidence. The evidence you build through effort. That's how confidence grows. You earn it. You don't wait for it. Every small victory strengthens your belief. Every small promise you keep to yourself builds momentum. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to trust the first step and then take it again and again. Because every act of courage, no matter how small, confirms the truth. You can. Doubt's favorite lie. Doubt will tell you stories. It will sound reasonable. It will sound logical. It will say, "You've never done this before." It will say, "What if it doesn't work?" It will say, "You're not ready." But that voice is not truth. It's protection. Your mind is trying to keep you safe from failure. The problem? Safety and success don't coexist. You can't stay safe and grow. You can't play small and rise big. So you have a choice. Feed your doubt or feed your belief. Doubt grows through hesitation. Belief grows through action. That's the key. Action. Action silences doubt. Action builds proof. Action transforms belief from theory into fact. You don't wait to believe. You build belief through doing. That's how you rewire your mind for victory. Building an unbreakable belief system. Here's how you strengthen belief every day. 1. Affirmation. Every morning, repeat, "I think victory, not defeat. I expect success, not failure." Speak it with power. Speak it until it feels real. 2. Visualization. Close your eyes and see yourself succeeding. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It just follows focus. 3. Evidence. Keep a record of your wins, big or small. Each one is proof that belief works. 4. Environment. Stay around people who remind you of what's possible, not what's safe. Belief dies in rooms full of doubt. These aren't motivational tricks. They're mental disciplines. Practice them, live them, and soon, belief won't be something you do, it'll be who you are. The transformation. When you believe, your energy changes. You stop begging life to give you something. You start demanding it through your actions. You stop waiting for opportunity. You start creating it. You stop chasing validation. You start walking in conviction. That's the power of belief. It doesn't just predict success, it produces it. So remember, think victory, not defeat. Expect success, not failure. Say it again. Live it again. Prove it again. You don't need proof to believe. You need belief to make proof possible. You have that power. You always have. Chapter 3. Defeat excusitis, the failure disease. There's a disease that destroys more dreams than fear, failure, or rejection ever could. It spreads quietly. It infects slowly. And most people never even realize they have it. It's called excusitis, the failure disease. Excusitis kills ambition. It kills progress. It kills potential. It convinces you that your limits are permanent, that your situation is unique, that your reason is valid. But here's the truth. Your excuses aren't unique. They're recycled. They've been used by millions of people who stayed stuck and died unfulfilled. Every if only is a chain. If only I had more time. If only I had more support. If only I had better luck. If only I were younger. Every if only is a lie that keeps you small. And the more you repeat it, the more you believe it. You have a choice. To live behind your excuses or beyond them. That's the key. Because you can't make excuses and make progress at the same time. You either make progress or you make excuses. Never both. The subtle poison of excusitis. Excusitis starts small. It doesn't sound dangerous. It sounds reasonable. It disguises itself as logic. It hides behind phrases like, "I just don't have time," or "I'm too tired," or "that's not really my thing." But every excuse you accept becomes a limitation you reinforce. You think you're explaining your situation, but you're actually programming your mind to surrender. Excusitis convinces you that you're the exception, that your challenges are too big, your resources too few, your chances too small. But here's the brutal truth. Someone with less time, less talent, and fewer resources than you is out there winning. The difference? They decided to find a way instead of finding an excuse. That's the cure. That's the transformation. You either make progress or you make excuses. Never both. Two people, one problem. Let's make this real. Two people face the same obstacle, say a lack of time. One says, "I can't. I work all day. I'm exhausted when I get home. I don't have time to start something new." The other says, "I'm tired too, but I'll find 1 hour. 1 hour before the world wakes up. 1 hour before the excuses catch me." Same problem, different response. One lives trapped by circumstance. The other takes control of circumstance. It's not the problem that defines you. It's the pattern you choose. You have a choice: to justify your weakness or to develop your strength. You can't do both. That's the key. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about luck. It's about ownership. When you own your results, you take back your power. Excusitis thrives where accountability dies. The moment you stop explaining your situation and start executing your plan, you're free. The 4 common forms of excusitis. David Schwartz described 4 common types of excusitis, the excuses people use to protect their comfort. Let's expose each one. 1. Health excusitis. I'm not feeling well. This one's dangerous because it sounds true. Yes, health matters, but health is not an excuse to stop living. Strong people use their challenges as fuel, not as shelter. Weak people use discomfort as permission to quit. You don't need to feel perfect to perform. You just need to move anyway. That's the key. 2. Intelligence excusitis. I'm not smart enough. This excuse poisons your potential faster than failure ever will. The truth? The world doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the most consistent. It's not about IQ. It's about I can. You don't need to know everything. You just need to do something. The person who acts on a small plan always beats the genius who does nothing. You either make progress or you make excuses. Never both. 3. Age excusitis. I'm too young or I'm too old. You'll hear this at every stage of life. When you're young, they tell you you're inexperienced. When you're old, they tell you it's too late. Both are lies. Both are traps. The truth? The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. You don't need to be younger. You need to be committed. You don't need to be older. You need to begin. 4. Luck excusitis. They got lucky. This one's the favorite of the defeated. They see success and instantly dismiss it as luck. But luck is nothing more than preparation meeting opportunity. And opportunity always comes to those who are ready for it. So stop waiting for luck. Start working for it. Because luck follows discipline. Luck follows action. Luck follows persistence. How to cure excusitis. Excusitis is cured through accountability. Step 1. Catch yourself. Every time you say, I can't, stop. Ask, can't or won't? Be honest, because when you start telling yourself the truth, excuses lose their power. Step 2. Replace the excuse with action. If you don't have time, schedule 1 hour. If you don't have knowledge, start learning. If you don't have support, do it alone until support finds you. Every excuse has an action-based antidote. Find it. Use it. Repeat it. Step 3. Hold yourself publicly accountable. Tell someone your goal. Announce it. Make it real. Excuses die in the light of accountability. They survive in the shadows of silence. And step 4, adopt the mantra. Say it every morning. I either make progress or I make excuses. Never both. Repeat it until it becomes your code, because that's what it is, a mental code for winners. The hard truth: excuses feel good in the moment. They protect your ego. They keep you comfortable. But comfort today becomes regret tomorrow. Regret is the real pain. Regret is the voice that says, you could have done more. You should have tried harder. Excuses give you temporary peace, but permanent limits. Discipline gives you temporary pain, but permanent freedom. So choose excuse or execution, talk or transformation. That's the daily decision of greatness. You have that power. You always have. You don't need their permission to stop making excuses. You just need your decision to start making progress. You either make progress or you make excuses, never both. The transformation. The moment you defeat excusitis, life opens up. Your confidence rises. Your energy multiplies. Your results explode. You realize the world was never holding you back. You were. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't luck or talent. It's the refusal to tolerate your own excuses. Every success story starts with that turning point, the moment someone said, "No more excuses." So say it with me. No more if only. No more one day. No more someday. Progress starts when excuses end. That's the cure. Chapter 4. Build confidence. Destroy fear. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. You don't wait for it. You work for it. That's the truth. That's the key. Most people wait for confidence before they act. They think they need to feel ready before they start. That's the trap. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You don't think your way into courage. You act your way into courage. Act first. Courage comes later. Every time you act in the face of fear, your brain learns something powerful. It learns that fear isn't fatal, that you can move forward even when your hands shake, that fear doesn't control you unless you let it. Fear's real purpose. Fear isn't your enemy. It's your signal. It's the sign that you're stepping into new territory. It's your body's way of asking, are you serious about this? Most people answer that question with retreat. They back off. They shrink. They say, maybe later, but later becomes never, and never becomes regret. Fear doesn't go away because you hide from it. Fear only fades when you face it. That's the key. You have a choice. You can be controlled by fear, or you can command it. You can let fear dictate your life, or you can let it drive your growth. You don't need their permission to act. You just need your decision to begin. Act first. Courage comes later. The confidence loop. Here's the formula. Simple, direct, and unstoppable. Action to experience. Experience to confidence. Confidence to more action. It's a loop, a self-reinforcing cycle. The more you act, the more experience you gain. The more experience you gain, the more confidence you build. The more confidence you build, the more you act. That's how momentum is created. That's how fear is destroyed. You don't build confidence by talking about your goals. You build it by attacking them. Confidence isn't built in your head. It's built in your habits. One small action every day. One uncomfortable step forward. That's all it takes. Confidence doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you do. You act your way into belief. You move your way into power. That's the principle. That's the truth. Act first. Courage comes later. Fear disguised as logic. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It says things like, maybe it's not the right time. Maybe you should wait until you're more prepared. Maybe next year. But maybe is the language of fear. Later is the disguise of hesitation. You call it logic, but it's really avoidance. You tell yourself you're being careful, but you're being controlled. Here's the hard truth. Fear will always sound reasonable. It will always give you just enough justification to delay your dreams. That's why most people never act. They wait for the right time, the right mood, the right feeling, and it never comes. There is no right time. There is only right now. That's the key. You have a choice. Wait and wish, or act and grow. Act first. Courage comes later. The action principle. The action principle is simple. Do the thing you fear, and confidence will follow. You don't eliminate fear by thinking. You eliminate fear by doing. Every time you face what scares you, your comfort zone expands. You take territory from fear. You build proof that you can handle more than you thought. That's how real self-belief is created. Not through affirmations, but through evidence. You don't need to tell yourself you're confident. You need to prove it through action. The gym you avoided, the conversation you feared, the project you kept postponing. Each one is an opportunity to act first, to prove that fear doesn't run your life. You don't need to feel brave to do something brave. You just need to move. The truth about confidence. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the mastery of it. It's the ability to move forward while fear rides along. Even the most successful people feel fear. The difference is, they don't let it stop them. They've trained their minds to interpret fear as a signal to go, not stop. They understand this law. Fear and growth live in the same place. If you want to grow, you must enter the space where fear exists. That's the price of progress. If something scares you, it's probably the next step. You can't outthink fear. You can only outwork it. That's the key. That's the principle. Practical steps to build confidence. Here's how you apply this today. Not someday, not later. Today. Step 1. Identify one fear. Something you've been avoiding. A phone call, a decision, a change. Write it down. Make it real. Step 2. Shrink it. Break it into the smallest possible action you can take right now. Not tomorrow. Now. One step. One call. One attempt. Step 3. Execute. Don't overthink it. Don't analyze it. Just move. That motion is your medicine. That movement builds the muscle of confidence. Step 4. Repeat. Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. Confidence compounds. Every repetition rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as afraid. You start seeing yourself as capable, because you are. That's the key. You don't need confidence to begin. You need to begin to build confidence. The internal war. Understand this. Fear never fully disappears. It just gets quieter. Because every time you act despite fear, you prove you're stronger than it. Confidence is the residue of repeated courage. It's the reward for showing up again and again, even when your knees shake. So stop waiting for the fear to leave. Stop waiting for the confidence to appear. Move. Take the step. Speak the truth. Make the call. Your courage doesn't need to feel perfect. It just needs to move forward. That's the choice. That's the test. You either obey your fear or you command it. You either freeze or you fight. You either hesitate or you move. You have a choice, and every choice builds your future. When you learn to act first, everything changes. Fear loses its grip. Confidence becomes natural. You stop needing approval and start demanding progress. You begin to live with conviction. You speak with authority. You walk with purpose. Because confidence isn't loud, it's quiet certainty. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You know who you are. You trust what you can do. And you earned that trust through disciplined action. You built confidence. You destroyed fear. That's the formula. Chapter 5. Think and Dream Creatively. Average minds ask small questions. Big minds ask better ones. The average person says, "Can I?" The big thinker asks, "How can I?" That's the difference. That's the key. Creativity isn't luck. It isn't magic. It's discipline. You are not born creative. You become creative through practice, through curiosity, through refusing to accept what is and demanding what could be. Creativity isn't art. It's problem solving. It's vision. It's the ability to look at the same thing everyone else sees and see something entirely different. Look for possibilities, not limitations. The mindset shift. Small thinkers see obstacles. Big thinkers see options. Small thinkers say, "That's impossible." Big thinkers say, "What would make it possible?" That's the shift. It's not about talent. It's about training. You train your mind to search for solutions instead of excuses. You train your mind to create paths instead of waiting for permission. The world doesn't reward those who doubt what's possible. It rewards those who dare to imagine more. You have a choice. You can keep thinking inside the box you were handed, or you can build a new one. You don't need their permission to think differently. You just need the courage to believe there's always a better way. The prison of realism. Most people are trapped by something they call realism. They think they're being smart by being skeptical. But realism is just fear in disguise. Be realistic is the favorite phrase of those who gave up too soon. Realism kills innovation. It kills progress. It kills dreams before they even start breathing. Every breakthrough, every invention, every movement, every revolution started with someone refusing to be realistic. Wright brothers, Edison, Jobs, Schwartz himself. None of them asked, "Can I?" They asked, "How can I?" That's the mindset of possibility. That's the posture of power. The realist sees problems. The visionary sees patterns. The creator sees potential. You have to choose who you'll be. You can stay small and safe. Or you can think big and risk being misunderstood. That's the price of creativity. You will confuse the crowd before you inspire them, but that's okay. They don't need to understand. They don't need to agree. You don't need their permission. The habit of creative thinking. Creativity is a muscle. It grows when you use it. If you want to become a creative thinker, you must build the habit of asking better questions. Not, "Why won't this work?" but "What would make this work?" Not, "Who will let me?" but "Who can I learn from?" Not, "Can I?" but "How can I?" That single word, how, changes everything. Because how assumes it's possible. How forces your brain to look for a path. How activates problem solving instead of self-doubt. Your brain is an obedient servant. It answers whatever question you give it. If you ask, "Why am I failing?" it will find reasons. If you ask, "How can I win?" it will find strategies. That's the secret. That's the key. Big thinkers feed their minds better questions every single day. They don't dwell on problems. They design solutions. You have a choice. You can train your brain to defend your limits. Or you can train it to discover your potential. Breaking routine. Thinking routine kills imagination. Comfort kills creativity. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. That's not philosophy, that's fact. If you want new results, you need new thinking. And new thinking doesn't come from your couch. Step out of your routine. Talk to different people. Read what you normally ignore. Go where you don't belong. New inputs create new insights. You can't think bigger if you never feed your mind anything new. You can't solve tomorrow's problems with yesterday's ideas. That's the truth. That's the key. You want creative energy? Expose yourself to challenge, to diversity, to discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in monotony. It happens in movement. The enemy of creativity. Fear of looking stupid. You want to know what kills creativity faster than anything? Fear of looking foolish. Most people stop sharing ideas not because they have none, but because they're afraid of being judged. They don't want to sound dumb. They don't want to stand out. So they shrink. They play it safe. They blend in with mediocrity. But the truth is, every new idea looks stupid until it works. Every bold vision sounds impossible until it's done. You have to be willing to look wrong before you can prove yourself right. That's how innovation happens. You have to speak when others stay silent. You have to risk being ridiculed to earn being respected. That's the price. That's the test. You can't think creatively if you're obsessed with approval. You don't need their permission. You need your conviction. The power of visualization. Big thinking begins in the imagination. You must see it before you can build it. Visualization isn't fantasy, it's focus. When you see your dream clearly, your brain starts building the roadmap to get there. That's how big thinkers operate. They hold a picture of success so vivid, so detailed, that it becomes real in their mind long before it exists in the world. That image pulls them forward. It fuels their effort. It sharpens their decisions. They don't just hope for success. They picture it, plan it, and pursue it relentlessly. That's the key. That's how the impossible becomes inevitable. You have a choice. You can keep replaying your fears, or you can start projecting your vision. Whichever picture you feed will shape your reality. From ideas to action. Thinking creatively means nothing if you don't act on it. Ideas are worthless without execution. The world is full of dreamers who never did. Don't be one of them. Write your ideas down. Turn them into steps. Turn steps into habits. Turn habits into results. Creativity without discipline is chaos. Creativity with discipline is power. It's not about ideas. It's about implementation. You don't need another spark. You need consistency. You don't need another dream. You need daily direction. That's how you bring imagination to life. That's how you make big thinking practical. That's the key. That's the formula. When you train your mind to think creatively, everything changes. You stop reacting. You start designing. You stop saying, "That's too hard." You start saying, "Here's how we'll do it." You stop envying the innovators. You become one. Because creativity isn't about IQ. It's about vision. It's not about luck. It's about intention. You can live like the masses, trapped in small thinking, or you can lead like the few, powered by imagination. That's the decision. That's the challenge. Chapter 6. You are who you think you are. You don't perform according to your potential. You perform according to your self-image. That's the truth. That's the key. You can have all the skills, all the talent, all the opportunity in the world. But if you see yourself as average, you'll perform average. If you see yourself as a loser, you'll lose. If you see yourself as a winner, you'll find ways to win. Because identity drives behavior, always. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. You will never rise higher than your belief in who you are. Upgrade your self-image, and your results will follow. Identity dictates action. Every thought, every choice, every behavior you take begins with one silent question. Who am I in this situation? That question determines everything. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, you'll find struggle. If you see yourself as someone who finishes strong, you'll finish strong. If you see yourself as capable, you'll behave like someone capable. You become what you repeatedly believe. You have a choice. You can reinforce your limits, or you can reinforce your potential. You can defend your old identity, or you can design a new one. That's the difference between the stuck and the successful. The stuck replay their past. The successful rewrite their story. You don't need their permission to change. You just need a decision to redefine who you are. The mirror rule. Your outer world mirrors your inner world. Your income, your relationships, your results. They're all reflections of how you see yourself. If you think small, you live small. If you think unworthy, you attract proof of it. If you think powerful, opportunities start appearing everywhere. Because your brain is a filter. It looks for evidence to support what you believe. If you say, "I'm not good with people," your brain collects proof to confirm it. If you say, "I'm good with people," your brain collects proof to confirm it. "I'm a confident communicator," your brain finds ways to support that too. Your life follows your language. Your results follow your self-image. That's why changing how you talk to yourself is not just motivation, it's transformation. You can't speak weakness and expect strength. You can't think limitation and expect freedom. You can't label yourself a failure and expect to win. The salesperson example. Imagine two salespeople. Both have the same training, the same tools, the same product. But one sees themselves as a high performer. The other sees themselves as average. Who sells more? The one with the higher self-image, every time. Why? Because belief changes behavior. The top performer expects success, so they prepare more, persist longer, and recover faster. The average one expects rejection, so they hesitate, avoid risk, and give up early. They both get what they expect. That's the law of self-image. You live up or down to the picture you hold of yourself. You don't need more skill. You need a stronger identity. How identity forms. You weren't born with low self-belief. It was learned. It came from teachers, parents, friends, people who meant well, but spoke small. You're not good at that. You're too young. You're not smart enough. And over time, you believe them. But understand this, their words don't define you. Your choices do. You can choose to rewrite that programming. You can decide that the old labels no longer apply. You're not your mistakes. You're not your past. You're not your environment. You're the one who decides what comes next. That's the key. That's the freedom. You have a choice. You can keep carrying someone else's definition of you, or you can create your own. Reprogramming the mind. Your self-image lives in repetition. So to change it, you must rewire repetition. Here's how. Step 1. Identify the old story. What identity are you living under? I'm bad with money. I can't lead. I always fail. Write it down. Make it visible. Expose the lie. Step 2. Replace it with a new identity. Not fantasy, foundation. I'm learning how to manage money. I lead with confidence and clarity. I follow through until I succeed. The words matter. Because your mind believes what you repeat. Step 3. Act according to the new image, daily. If you want to see yourself as disciplined, act disciplined. If you want to see yourself as successful, make successful moves. Behavior solidifies belief. That's how identity changes, not overnight, but over consistency. It's not about pretending, it's about practicing. You don't fake it until you make it. You train it until it's true. That's the process. That's the principle. The confidence loop revisited. Confidence and identity feed each other. When you act confident, you start to feel confident. When you feel confident, you start to act confident. That's the loop. Every time you do something your old self wouldn't do, your self-image upgrades. Every time you honor your word, your mind starts trusting you again. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet knowledge that your actions match your beliefs. And when they do, life becomes simpler. You stop overthinking. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking permission. You just move. That's the key. The new identity, the upgraded version of you, doesn't hesitate. It executes. Real-world example. Think of the person who decided to stop calling themselves broke. Instead, they said, I'm learning to build wealth. That small mental shift changed how they spent, how they saved, and how they saw opportunity. Or the person who stopped saying, I'm not a leader. They started saying, I lead with example and discipline. Their team responded differently because they responded differently. You attract what you believe you deserve. If your self-image is small, your world shrinks. If your self-image expands, your world grows. That's not motivation, that's mechanics. The brain works to prove itself right, so give it better instructions. When you build a stronger self-image, everything improves. You start walking differently. You speak with conviction. You act with purpose. You stop second-guessing and start self-commanding. Because when your identity changes, your destiny changes. You no longer chase confidence. You embody it. You no longer beg for validation. You generate it. You stop living reactively. You start leading deliberately. That's the shift. That's the power of belief. You become who you decide you are. Not what they said, not what they assumed, what you decide. Chapter 7. Manage your environment. Go first class. Your environment is either pulling you up or dragging you down. There is no neutral ground. The people you talk to, the spaces you live in, the standards you tolerate, they're all shaping your thinking, every minute, every day. That's the truth most people ignore. They say they want success, but they keep living in environments designed for mediocrity. You can't think big when you live small. You can't grow strong when you're surrounded by weakness. You can't stay disciplined when everything around you promotes distraction. That's the key. Your environment is training you, whether you realize it or not. So if you want to elevate your life, you must elevate your surroundings. If you want to rise, you must build an environment that lifts you upward. Surround yourself with people and standards that pull you upward. Go first class. The real meaning. When I say go first class, I'm not talking about buying designer clothes or flying luxury. This isn't about money. It's about mentality. Go first class means you live with self-respect. It means you choose quality in your thoughts, in your actions, in your company. You stop settling for average. You stop accepting clutter, chaos, and compromise. Because everything in your environment sends a message to your mind. If your space is messy, your thinking becomes messy. If your friends are lazy, your drive weakens. If your standards are low, your outcomes will match. That's how it works. You can't think abundance while surrounding yourself with scarcity. You can't think discipline while swimming in distraction. You have a choice. You can stay in environments that feed excuses, or you can build one that fuels excellence. Your environment reflects your identity. Look around your life right now. Your desk, your home, your habits, your circle. That's not just your environment. That's your reflection. Your environment is the mirror of your mind. If you allow disorder around you, you've accepted disorder within you. If you surround yourself with gossip, you've accepted mediocrity as your baseline. If you spend your energy around people who quit easily, you'll eventually do the same. That's the uncomfortable truth. You don't rise above your environment. You grow into it. The people you spend the most time with are shaping your standards in silence. They're molding what you believe is normal. They're teaching you what's acceptable, and you're absorbing it without realizing it. So ask yourself right now, do the people around me make me better, or do they make me smaller? If your answer is smaller, you know what you must do. You must protect your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. That's not drama. That's direction. Cut the noise. Keep the focus. Managing your environment starts with removing noise. Turn off the constant distractions. Limit the toxic inputs. Stop consuming low-quality content that weakens your focus. You can't think clearly while being bombarded by chaos. You can't become disciplined while your environment rewards laziness. That's the key. A focused environment builds a focused mind. A chaotic environment builds a chaotic one. So clean your space, curate your media, control your inputs, replace mindless scrolling with meaningful study, replace gossip with growth, replace comfort with challenge. Your environment must become a temple for your goals, not a trap for your time. You have a choice. You can live reactively or intentionally. You can drift through distraction or design your direction. Upgrade your standards. Go first class means you refuse to cut corners in anything. You do things with excellence because that's who you are now. You take pride in your work. You prepare with care. You show up on time. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. When you raise your standards, you signal to yourself, I deserve better because I give better. That's how confidence grows. That's how discipline compounds. Mediocrity lives in shortcuts. Excellence lives in the details. Make your bed with intention. Organize your space. Keep your commitments. It's not about perfection. It's about precision. It's about telling your brain every single day, we operate on a higher level now. Because when you elevate your environment, your identity follows. Choose better company. The people around you matter more than you think. Energy is contagious. Habits are contagious. Standards are contagious. Spend time with disciplined people, and your excuses start to feel uncomfortable. Spend time with complainers, and your drive starts to die. That's not coincidence. That's environment. So choose your circle wisely, not by comfort, by character, not by popularity, by principle. Find people who challenge you. Find people who hold you accountable. Find people who make you level up. And if you can't find them right now, become one of them. Be the disciplined one. Be the focused one. Be the one who raises the room. You don't need their permission to grow. You just need to stop lowering yourself to fit in. Your environment is a decision. Most people think environment is luck. It's not. It's choice. You can change your environment right now. Without money, without status, without permission. Clean your space. Cut toxic conversations. Upgrade your inputs. Spend time in places that inspire you, not drain you. You can control your surroundings. You can shape your atmosphere. You can design your world to demand your best. That's discipline. That's self-respect. You don't need to move cities to change your environment. You need to move standards. Raise the quality of what you tolerate. Raise the quality of what you consume. Raise the quality of who you spend your time with. That's what Go First Class means. Not luxury, but quality of mindset. Here's the truth. You can't think like a winner while living in an environment designed for losing. You can't build mental toughness while surrounded by comfort. You can't stay emotionally strong while living among emotional chaos. So design your space like a leader. Design your circle like a champion. Design your habits like someone who expects excellence. Chapter 8. Turn defeat into fuel. Defeat. It happens to everyone, but only a few people know how to use it. For most, defeat is the end. For the strong, defeat is the beginning. That's the key. Losers see defeat as the end. Winners see it as the beginning. The difference isn't in what happens to them. It's in how they respond. Every person who's achieved something extraordinary has one thing in common. They've failed, deeply, painfully, publicly, but they refused to let that defeat define them. They turned it into fuel, and that's what you must learn to do, because life will knock you down. That's not a threat, that's a guarantee. But what you do next determines everything. You have a choice. You can stay down and call it fate, or you can get up, learn the lesson, and come back 10 times stronger. Defeat isn't the end, it's data. Here's what most people get wrong. They think failure means I'm not good enough, but that's not true. Failure means I have something to learn. Failure is feedback. It's information. It's the world showing you where your plan, your preparation, or your patience needs refinement. That's it. Losers take failure personally. Winners take it strategically. When a winner fails, they don't say, "Why me?" They say, "What now?" They don't whine. They adjust. They don't retreat. They rebuild. That's the mindset that separates average from elite. Failure is not a dead end. It's a detour. And every detour brings you closer to mastery, if you have the discipline to keep driving. So next time you fall short, don't collapse emotionally. Study the data. Ask the questions that matter. What did I miss? What can I improve? What needs to change next time? Because that's how winners think. They don't see defeat as damage. They see ... The bounce-back principle. Every major comeback in history began with a setback. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before the light bulb worked. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Each one had a choice: quit or continue. Each one chose to continue, and that's why you know their names today. You see, it's not about talent. It's about tenacity. It's not about luck. It's about learning. It's not about comfort. It's about commitment. The greats don't run from failure. They recruit it. They treat every setback like a teacher, not an enemy. That's what you must do. When things go wrong, don't ask for pity. Ask for the lesson. When you lose, don't shrink. Study. You have a choice. You can be crushed by defeat, or you can be carved by it. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. That's the key. Every time you bounce back, you build mental armor. Every recovery makes you more resilient. Every failure you survive expands your strength. That's how champions are made. The discipline of reflection. After every defeat, there's a window, a small, powerful moment where emotion fades and clarity appears. Most people miss it. They get stuck in self-pity. They replay what went wrong instead of rewriting what comes next. You can't afford that. You must treat defeat like a scientist treats data. Analyze it, Break it down. Find the cause, fix the pattern, and move on. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. It's not about shame. It's about strategy. That's the mindset shift that turns failure into fuel. Here's what to do. After a setback, take 1 full hour alone. Write down everything that happened. Write down what you controlled and what you didn't. Then, circle what you can change next time. That's your growth map. Winners don't dwell on the past. They extract value from it. That's the difference. Every loss carries gold, but only the disciplined dig for it. You have a choice. You can stare at the ashes, or you can use them to light the next fire. The power of emotional control in defeat. Defeat tests your emotions more than your plans. When you fail, ego screams. Fear grows. Doubt whispers. You start believing you're not capable. That's the trap. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who stay calm when they do. They don't let panic dictate their next move. They don't let emotion erase logic. They breathe. They reset. They rebuild. That's emotional discipline, and it's the foundation of mental toughness. You have to remember, defeat doesn't destroy you. Overreaction does. Don't flinch. Don't spiral. Don't run. Look failure straight in the face and say, "You're not my enemy, or my education." That's the shift. That's when defeat becomes your teacher. Action over pity. After failure, most people do nothing. They wait. They hope. They complain. They want motivation before they move. But that's not how progress works. Action comes first. Motivation follows. You don't wait until you feel ready. You act until you feel strong. That's how you turn defeat into fuel. Every small step forward after failure reclaims your power. Every action taken in pain rebuilds confidence. Every day you show up despite the setback proves you're unstoppable. Remember this. Discipline is the antidote to defeat. You can't think your way out of failure. You must act your way out. You can't wish away pain. You must work through it. That's the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. Defeat is the test of belief. When everything's going right, belief is easy. When everything collapses, belief is tested. That's where the real growth happens. Anyone can be confident when life is smooth. But confidence means nothing until it survives collision. You will lose. You will fail. You will doubt yourself. But the moment you keep going anyway, that's when you cross the line from amateur to master. Defeat reveals whether you were committed or just curious. It shows whether your goals were built on desire or discipline. So don't fear failure. Fear comfort, because comfort hides your weakness. Defeat exposes it and gives you the power to fix it. That's the gift of losing. It reveals what needs to be rebuilt. It burns away what was false, and it leaves behind only what's real. Chapter 9. Think like a leader. Leadership doesn't start with a title. It starts with a mindset. Most people wait for permission to lead. Leaders don't. Leaders decide. That's the key. Leaders don't wait. Leaders decide. You don't need authority to take ownership. You don't need a promotion to lead yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to take control of your life. Leadership starts inside, with one simple shift. You stop blaming. You start owning. That's the dividing line between average and exceptional, between followers and builders. Followers look for instructions. Leaders create direction. Followers react. Leaders respond. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for someone to fix things, or you can step up and take responsibility, right now. Leadership is responsibility, not rank. Real leadership isn't about being in charge of others. It's about being in charge of yourself, your habits, your reactions, your standards, your follow-through. That's what defines a leader. Because if you can't lead yourself, you'll never lead anyone else. A leader doesn't say, "It's not my fault." A leader says, "It's my problem." A leader doesn't say, "Someone should do something." A leader says, "I'll start." That's ownership. That's leadership. Leaders don't wait. Leaders decide. The truth is, most people never rise because they never take responsibility. They blame the system. They blame the economy. They blame their parents, their boss, their luck. But you can't build power by pointing fingers. You build power by pointing inward. You can't control the world, but you can control your effort, your focus, and your mindset. That's the foundation of leadership. You have a choice. You can live as a victim, or you can live as a leader. You can make excuses, or you can make progress, but never both. Leaders think in solutions. The average mind thinks in problems. The leader's mind thinks in solutions. That's the difference. When most people face a challenge, they freeze. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Leaders ask, "How do we fix this?" They look forward, not backward. They focus on what's possible, not what's broken. That's why leaders rise when others collapse. In any crisis, business, personal, emotional, you can always tell who the leader is. The leader stays calm. The leader stays focused. The leader acts with clarity while others drown in panic. That's not luck. That's training. Leaders train their minds to respond, not react. They build emotional discipline long before the storm hits. They understand, control the mind, control the moment. Leaders don't wait. Leaders decide. So when things fall apart in your life, remember this. You don't need to know everything. You just need to decide something. Leaders move. Leaders adjust. Leaders adapt. Waiting kills momentum. Deciding creates it. You have a choice. You can hesitate, or you can lead. Leadership is ownership. And ownership means you take full responsibility for outcomes, even the ones that weren't your fault. That's the hard part. That's where most people fold. They want the credit, not the accountability. But real leaders take both. When something goes wrong, leaders ask, "What could I have done better?" They look for their role in the result, even when it's uncomfortable, because that's how you grow. Ownership isn't about guilt. It's about growth. When you take ownership, you gain power. You move from helpless to capable, from frustrated to focused. Blame is easy. Ownership is hard. But ownership builds strength. It takes humility to admit you were wrong. It takes courage to fix what you broke. It takes discipline to keep moving forward when no one else will. That's leadership. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about standing up and saying, "The result starts with me." Stop waiting for permission. The world is full of people waiting for the perfect time, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to say, "You're ready." But leaders don't wait for the world to give them a green light. They build their own road. You don't need their permission. You don't need the right connections. You don't need anyone to agree with your vision. You just need to start. That's the key. Every movement begins with one person who decided to lead without permission. Every innovation, every revolution, every breakthrough, all started with someone who stopped waiting. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for leadership, or you can become it. Leadership begins the moment you decide to take responsibility for the direction of your life. Lead yourself first. You can't lead others until you can lead yourself. And self-leadership means one thing: discipline. It means you keep your promises. It means you do what you said you'd do, even when it's inconvenient. It means you control your emotions, your impulses, and your focus. Leaders live by standards, not moods. They act based on purpose, not comfort. It's not about motivation. It's about consistency. It's not about feeling inspired. It's about staying committed. You can't inspire others if you can't manage yourself. You can't earn respect if you can't respect your own commitments. So before you try to lead anyone else, lead your habits, lead your schedule, lead your reactions. Real-world leadership, everyday examples. Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs or generals. It's for parents, teachers, teammates, friends, anyone who chooses to take responsibility instead of passing it away. When you speak up for what's right, you're leading. When you own your mistakes instead of hiding them, you're leading. When you stay calm while others panic, you're leading. Leadership is not about titles. It's about example. You show others what's possible by how you move, how you handle stress, and how you treat people. That's the real test. How you lead when no one's watching. How you handle pressure when no one's clapping. How you act when no one's giving orders. Leaders don't need supervision. They operate from internal standards, not external rules. That's why leadership is rare, because it's hard. But that's exactly why it's worth it. Here's the truth. You were born with leadership potential. You were not born with leadership discipline. That's developed through trial, repetition, and reflection. Every time you take responsibility, your leadership grows. Every time you choose action over excuses, it grows stronger. Every time you refuse to wait for permission, it expands. That's how leaders are built, one decision at a time. So lead yourself through the small things first. Then the big ones won't scare you. Lead yourself through discomfort. Then chaos won't break you. Lead yourself with discipline. Then others will naturally follow. That's the formula. Leaders don't wait. Leaders decide. Chapter 10. Take action now. Don't wait to feel ready. Most people wait their whole lives to feel ready. They never do. And that's why they never move. They keep waiting for confidence. They keep waiting for clarity. They keep waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Here's the truth. You don't wait for readiness. You create it. That's the key. Every success you've ever admired started with someone who acted before they felt ready. Every confident person you've met built that confidence through action, not before it. You have a choice. You can keep thinking about it, or you can start doing it. Overthinking kills opportunity. Action creates momentum. That's the law of life. Action first, confidence later. You've been taught backwards. You were told to believe in yourself before you act. You were told to wait until you're confident. That's a lie. Confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. Confidence is a byproduct. You don't get confident and then act. You act, and confidence follows. That's the key. Think about it. When you first learned to drive, you weren't confident. You were nervous. You overthought every move. But you did it anyway. Repetition built competence. Competence built confidence. Confidence built calm. That's how it works, in everything. You don't wait to be confident. You act confident. Don't wait to be confident. Act confident. That's your new mantra. Because action rewires fear. Action destroys hesitation. Action creates clarity. You have a choice. Act now or stay stuck. Every day you delay fear grows stronger. Every time you move, fear weakens. That's not motivation, that's physics. The paralysis of overthinking. Let's be honest, your problem isn't lack of information. You already know what to do. Your problem is hesitation. You think too much. You analyze every angle. You play out every possible failure in your head. That's not preparation. That's procrastination in disguise. You convince yourself that more thinking equals better decisions. But the longer you wait, the more you doubt. And the more you doubt, the less you move. You're building fear through inaction. The mind loves comfort. It loves control. It loves certainty. But growth lives in movement, not control. Progress lives in chaos, not comfort. You can't think your way into courage. You have to act your way into it. You can spend hours planning, researching, and dreaming, but none of it matters until you move. Because movement creates feedback. Feedback creates clarity. Clarity creates progress. The person who moves learns faster than the person who plans. The person who acts wins, not because they're smarter, but because they're faster. Don't wait to be confident. Act confident. The power of the do-it-now mindset. Every time you say later, you're training your brain to delay your life. Later is the language of the average. Now is the language of the exceptional. The do-it-now mindset is simple. If it's worth doing, do it now. If it scares you, start now. If you've been waiting, move now. You don't need to know the full path. Just take the first step. You don't need to have perfect timing. Just make a start. Action reveals more than thought ever will. You'll never feel ready because readiness is an illusion. Your brain wants safety. Your soul wants growth, and those two forces will always fight. You have to decide who wins. You can serve fear, or you can serve purpose, but you can't serve both. Don't wait to be confident. Act confident. Every second counts. Every decision compounds. And hesitation is a decision too. A decision to stay the same. Action breeds clarity. Here's the truth most people miss. Action creates clarity. Inaction creates confusion. You think you're confused because you don't know enough, but you're confused because you haven't moved yet. You'll never figure out everything from the sidelines. The answers only appear when you're in motion. Start moving, and patterns emerge. Start doing, and lessons reveal themselves. You can't learn to swim from the shore. You have to get in the water. That's how life works. You learn by doing. You grow by deciding. You evolve by acting. That's the process. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence. Just move. Because action is the cure to fear. Movement kills doubt. Momentum defeats hesitation. You have a choice, and that choice is movement. Momentum is power. Once you start moving, something powerful happens. The resistance weakens. The excuses fade. The mind adapts. Momentum takes over. Momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from motion. That's why small wins matter. That's why daily action compounds. You don't need to conquer everything today. You just need to start something today. Send the message. Make the call. Write the plan. Take the walk. Speak the truth. Tiny moves build massive momentum. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing something. The habit of starting, that's the real power. Because once you start, you've already beaten hesitation. That's the victory most people never taste. Don't wait to be confident. Act confident. Confidence is momentum in disguise. And momentum is born the moment you stop thinking and start doing. You don't need permission. You've been conditioned to believe you need permission. From your boss, from society, from your past. You don't. You don't need permission to change. You don't need permission to act. You don't need permission to improve your life. You give yourself permission through movement. That's the key. When you act, you reclaim control. When you move, you tell the world, I'm in charge of my direction. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to motivate you. No one is coming to hand you confidence. You have to build it, brick by brick, action by action. That's how leaders are made. That's how discipline is born. That's how confidence is earned. Don't wait to be confident. Act confident. Action is the proof of belief. You say you believe in yourself. Prove it. Belief without action is empty. Faith without movement is fantasy. If you truly believe, you act. If you truly want it, you move. Because belief is proven through motion. It's not about saying you can. It's about showing you will. You have a choice. Stay stuck in thought or move in faith. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Don't wait for the fear to vanish. Don't wait for the motivation to rise. Just start. Do something. However small. Do it today. Do it now. Because every moment you act, you're building the muscle of courage. Every time you move, you're teaching your mind that fear doesn't control you. That's real freedom. That's real power. Chapter 11. Keep your mind focused on growth. The moment you stop growing, you start dying. That's not poetry, that's reality. You've seen it happen. A person achieves something, a new job, a raise, a small win, and then they relax. They stop pushing, they stop learning, they stop growing, and in that quiet comfort, they begin to decay. Because success doesn't stay still. It expands or it expires. You have a choice. Feed your growth or feed your comfort. You can't feed both. That's the key. If you want to live big, you must think big every single day. If you want to keep rising, you must train your mind to rise every single day. Growth isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline. Feed your mind big thoughts every single day. The mind's natural drift to average. Your mind has a gravitational pull, and it always drifts back to average. It's automatic. You don't have to try to think small. You don't have to try to play safe. Your brain does it for you. It craves comfort. It resists challenge. It seeks familiarity. That's human nature, and that's the enemy of growth. If you don't deliberately direct your thoughts upward, they will quietly sink downward. If you don't feed your mind strength, it will feed itself weakness. That's the key. You have to manage your mind like a garden. Every day, weeds grow, self-doubt, fear, negativity. If you don't pull them out, they take over. That's why growth thinking isn't a phase. It's maintenance. It's daily. It's deliberate. It's disciplined. You have a choice. Ignore your mind and let it shrink, or feed it daily and let it expand. The ritual of renewal. You can't think big once a month and expect massive results. Growth is not an event. It's a ritual. You must design your day to renew your mind. Every single morning, you decide what world you'll live in, the world of average or the world of expansion. That choice begins before you even get out of bed. So build your ritual, a ritual that strengthens the muscle of growth. 3 habits, simple, powerful, and non-negotiable. Visualization, goal review. Gratitude. Let's break them down. 1. Visualization. See it before you live it. Your mind creates before your hands do. Everything begins in thought. If you can't see it in your mind, you'll never hold it in your life. That's the key. Visualization is not fantasy. It's mental rehearsal. It programs your brain to recognize opportunity and act on it. Each morning, close your eyes for 5 minutes and see yourself living your goals. Not wishing, seeing. See the discipline, see the focus, see the confidence. You're training your brain to expect that life, and your actions will rise to meet that expectation. That's the power of clarity. That's the power of vision. Because when you see it, you start believing it. When you believe it, you start doing it. When you do it, you start becoming it. That's how transformation happens. 2. Goal review. Aim or drift. A goal forgotten is a goal lost. That's the brutal truth. If you don't remind yourself what you're chasing, you'll drift back into distraction. If you don't review your goals, life will hand you other people's. That's why daily goal review is non-negotiable. Write them, read them, feel them. Let them become your morning compass. You don't need a new plan every week. You need to look at the same plan every morning until it becomes reality. That's the discipline. That's the focus. When you review your goals daily, you keep your mind aimed forward. You train your focus on expansion. Because whatever your mind stays on, grows. And whatever it ignores, withers. You have a choice, drift or direct. 3. Gratitude, the grounding force. Growth doesn't mean greed. It doesn't mean never being satisfied. Gratitude grounds you in what's real. It turns progress into peace. When you start your day with gratitude, you remind yourself of abundance, not lack. You focus on what's working, not what's missing. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because a grateful mind is a powerful mind. It's not distracted by comparison. It's not poisoned by envy. It's anchored in purpose. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Simple, clear, specific. Gratitude keeps your growth clean. It turns ambition from desperation into appreciation. That's the secret of sustainable success. You have a choice. Grow with gratitude or grow with greed. One lasts, the other destroys. Protecting the mental gate. You can't pour poison into your mind and expect peace. If your goal is growth, you must protect your inputs. Your environment doesn't just influence you, it programs you. Every scroll, every video, every conversation, they all shape your thinking. If you surround yourself with small thinkers, your dreams will shrink to fit their comfort. If you fill your mind with noise, your focus will fade into static. Guard your mental gate. Feed it only what serves your future. That means books that stretch you, podcasts that challenge you, people that pull you higher. You are not above influence. No one is. So influence yourself on purpose. That's the key. Growth is not optional. It's survival. Every day you grow, you live. Every day you stagnate, you die a little. That's the quiet truth of life. The world keeps moving. The competition keeps improving. The clock keeps ticking. If you stop evolving, the world will pass you by. Fast. You have a choice. Stay curious or stay comfortable. Keep learning or keep fading. Feed your mind or feed your fear. Growth is not a luxury. It's survival. So make it personal. Study every day. Reflect every night. Learn from every mistake. Turn your life into a classroom. Turn every challenge into a teacher. That's how you build a mind that never stops expanding. Because the moment you decide, you've made it. You've already started losing it. Remember, the difference between success and mediocrity isn't intelligence. It's mindset. When you think big, you invite bigger opportunities, stronger confidence, and a better version of yourself to emerge. The magic of thinking big isn't just about positive thinking. It's about believing that you can achieve more, do more, and become more. Every great achievement begins with a single thought. So make yours a big one. If this summary inspired you, take a moment to reflect on one area of your life where you've been thinking too small, and challenge yourself to expand that vision starting today. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder to dream bigger. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring book summaries and lessons that help you grow stronger every day. Thank you for listening, and remember, think big, act bold, and never stop believing in your potential.